computer.
Yeah. Oh, they even give me a little
Little notification.
yeah, the lady talks. She's like
Yeah.
recording in progress.
What's up, Pokéfriends? What's up, K-Kai crew? How's it going today? Very stoked for today's episode of Pokéfriends. Also, the 11th episode of Pokéfriends after being gone for so long. But we got JP, aka Slangtang, over here.
Howdy doody.
What
Thanks
is
for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on here.
Lucky number 11 too. We're working on some angel numbers there.
Yeah, dude.
I love it.
So how this works, I'm just gonna ask some questions, go through my list that I got here. I got like I think it actually is 20 questions, so that's really funny. But we're just
So
gonna
we're almost playing 21 questions.
yeah.
Almost. Maybe you can just throw a bonus one in at the end.
Yeah, I
Make
think
it
I
fun.
will. I'll think of something. But always if there's a question that I ask that you don't want to answer, seems too personal, just let me know. No problem at all. We can scrap it and we can just go move on to the next thing.
Sounds good.
Yeah, awesome. First off, thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Love making new friends. First question I got on my board here. When did you first get into Pokemon?
So I have a very lovely, but I mean it's not an atypical story. I got to experience the boom and the fad in the 90s. So
Yeah.
I was born in 89. So I can claim being a 90s kid like fully, I was like in it. So I got to experience just a lot of those great 90s trends, a lot of those things that they said would come and go, including Pokemon. And a lot of them did come and go, don't get me wrong, but Pokemon, it just took the world by storm. Obviously, we knew it originated in Japan. But for me, I got into it, I think it was 98, 99. Started playing the games as well as collecting cards at the same time. And basically, I was out in the schoolyard and recess trading Pokemon cards, and it goes all the way back to that of we were probably the originators for why Pokemon cards aren't allowed in schools
Yeah.
these days. The original kids that were fighting at recess because somebody had like a hollow Clefairy and somebody else
Yeah.
wanted it.
So funny.
Yeah, but
Funny.
so it was back in the day and just experiencing all that wonder, all that joy, that a lot of that is tied into like my current love for it and then the nostalgia that I feel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You've been around since the beginning for
The
it.
beginning, yeah. And for me, being a kid and as well as being a queer kid that grew up in the South, Pokemon was definitely a form of escapism for me too.
Yeah.
Video games just in general were like my PlayStation and my like was my bestie back in the day, my Game Boy bestie. So I would take those with me everywhere, just because as a child, you don't necessarily know what feeling like insecure or feeling unsafe feels like. You only know how to get out of it and get out of your head. And Pokemon and video games was like the first thing to really do that for me, which was, kind of great for me at the time.
Like liberating in a way.
Yeah. It just allowed me to like calm down some of those thoughts that I had like as a kid that you can't really make sense of.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I guess that kind of ties into our next question. What are some of your favorite memories with Pokemon?
So okay, well, one of them involves my mom, and she's just incredible for this and just being supportive. It didn't matter really what it was, as a kid, if we showed an interest in it, she was right there supporting us, and that was really lovely. But there was a kind of a small, no different than the ones we have today, but it's just like a small comic book store that was local. We were living in like the Baltimore area at the time, and she would take me there, and they sold Pokemon packs, and she would buy me a couple packs at a time of the cards, and that's one of my core memories. But even more so is there's a one specific time I remember us going, and it just was always just so much fun to go with my mom. I've always been close with her, but they had run out of English packs, and the guy showed me a Japanese booster pack, and I remember vividly the pack art and just how dynamic it was. And she bought me a couple, and so to have my mom not only be like supportive but also supportive of buying like foreign language cards like back in the day when we didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And I ripped a few of those packs and I pulled the Fossil Dragonite
Oh, okay.
with that rainbow background,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I still have it. I still
Oh,
have it.
wow.
Yeah, I'm
That's,
never getting rid of that thing. I want to ideally get it graded just to have it like encapsulated and
yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
But that card reminds me of my mom, and it reminds me of just, really just feeling happy and joyous and free and that like kind of escapism. Yeah. And it's such an epic art. I mean, it's like Dragonite with a rainbow
Yeah.
background,
Dragonite's like one of the best.
I agree. So
Yeah.
freaking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was your first starter you ever chose in Pokemon?
I was a Bulba boy.
Boba
I was
Boy.
a Bulba boy.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a grass guy right off the bat, which is funny because since then, um, I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to starters, but I tend to go more for water starters, which is interesting. Like in Sword and Shield, I went Sobble. Um, but yeah, I was Bulba boy from the beginning. I love Venusaur. I love the flower that came on top.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember back in the day just being like, this thing is a tank.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and of course all my friends were picking Charizard and
Yeah.
gotta be different.
I think my first gen starter was Squirtle because I really like.
Squirt, squirt, squirt,
Yeah.
squirt.
Because I
I
remember,
love Squirtle.
you remember the Squirtle squad from the original.
Yeah,
I think that's why I chose Squirtle because I was like,
with
oh,
those iconic
awesome.
sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, dude, that's the coolest Pokemon ever.
Yeah.
Now I sort of go for the fire starters. Like I did Score Bunny and then I
Did you do a Fuecoco?
did do Fuecoco.
That's my
That's my
boy.
guy right there,
That's
dude.
who I picked as well for
Yeah.
Scarby.
Adorable.
Ever since Fuecoco was introduced, it was like love at first sight for me. I was like, I'm obsessed with you, you're obsessed with me, we can be obsessed
Yeah.
with each other, and yeah, we're in love. I just love Fuecoco. The whole line is really cool too, and
Yeah.
the concept of like, I don't know. I like ghost fire typing. I wish that we hadn't necessarily gotten two amazing ghost fires in the same gen because we got Cerulege and at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
Um, but it's such cool typing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I think he's based off of I forgot the name. I'm probably gonna butcher it. But you know, like spirit guides in like how do I say this? Um, have you ever seen the movie Coco?
Mhm.
You know how everyone has their own animal in the afterlife.
Mhm.
I forgot
Yeah,
what
I think I know what you're talking about. It's I can't remember the
Libre or something
terminology.
like
Yeah, I can't remember the terminology exactly, and so
that.
I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't
but
want
I
to.
think that's what Skeledirge is based off of. Is based off of Libre.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
what
That
someone
makes me
told me.
love it even
That
more.
makes so much sense because it looks
Yeah.
exactly like it's from the movie Coco.
Well, and it like including that too, we obviously have Fuecoco, so there you
Exactly.
go.
Yeah.
But the middle evolution is called Crocalor, which I'm sure you remember, but he has a little sombrero on too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I only remember that so vividly because I just got to open some Japanese cards, some triplet beat. Um, super excited. Got to do it for retail. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. I will not give in.
No.
But got to pull a couple of cards. There's a Fuecoco art rare and then a Crocalor art rare. And so I
Okay.
got to like see them up close, and I was just like, yeah, it's great design.
Yeah. The cards just keep getting better and better and more
Oh my
expensive.
God, I know. But that's how I just feel too, just in general, just about I feel like yes, obviously Pokemon is imperfect and I have no problem talking about my qualms with the company or just,
Yeah.
the varied aspects of it. I mean, there's so much. There's Pokemon Go, there's cards, there's everything. There's
Yeah.
so much to consume just in general. But I do think that design wise and a lot of the choices that they've been making for their games, obviously Scarlet Violet bugs aside, they've been really, really just like upping their game in so many
Yeah.
ways. I loved all three of the new starters, which for me, there's usually one that I'm kind of just like, not about.
Same
But
here. Yeah.
yeah, no, I loved them all.
They were pretty great, I think.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on Scarlet and Violet. and I'll
Yeah, no, me too, me too.
probably play it later today, honestly.
I I was just thinking that. I'm like, that's the beautiful thing about dog sitting is my Switch can come with me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
portable. Let's see. Outside of Pokemon, what does a normal day in the life look like for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. So we're not including anything Pokemon. Hmm.
Yeah. Or you can include Pokemon, I guess, because it is like obviously part of your life and
It's a huge part of my life. Just
yeah.
also because I play Pokemon Go. So for me,
Okay.
if I'm going out in the world and like running here, I pretty much factor in Pokemon to any day that I'm really thinking about scheduling, unless like I'm on like vacation. But even then, um, that's the crazy thing about Pokemon Go is it just comes with you. So
Sure.
I've found that in the past I have definitely had to assess my relationship with that stuff and
Yeah.
not get too involved because I'm definitely the kind of person that video games can very easily become just too I don't know, they can take up too much of my time,
Yeah.
honestly, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So if we remove Pokemon Go, a good day in the life for me is, hopping out, grabbing a coffee. I'm obsessed with espresso. So I love to just start, hit up a local coffee shop, maybe even Starbucks, depending on where I am.
Yeah.
Grab a coffee, run some errands, usually go for a walk. There's a lot of really great areas close by that I like to walk at and I'd usually be playing Pokemon Go when I was there.
Mhm.
But go for a walk. Sometimes bring my dogs. Just depends on the weather. I moved back home mid-pandemic. I was living in the Twin Cities, like I said before. Moved back home mid-pandemic for a bunch of different reasons, and have kind of been here since then. But my parents adopted two puppies like
Oh,
while I was living back at home with them, so I got to raise them. So they're like I
cute.
consider them my own. It's like the
Yeah.
beauty of like having like step kids where it's like they don't live with you, but like they respect you as like a parent.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So I bring them with me a lot of places. So yeah, what I lack for in I don't know, I found that one of the biggest things since I moved home, it's been hard to make friends in the South. I'm a queer dude and I'm a nerdy dude, and I don't necessarily think that that detracts from it, but just being a little bit older, everybody's a little bit more reserved these days. Things are a little bit more politically charged. I don't know. There's a lot of different factors.
Of course.
But I haven't had the easiest time of making friends. So just being able to like bring my dogs around, it helps me feel not quite so alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Can you not tear up your bed? Sorry, my
Mochi,
dog
you
is
sleep
tearing up
there.
his bed right now.
It's because we're talking about
Other
other
bed.
dogs. It's because we're talking about other dogs, and he's
I know he's
jealous.
jealous. He's like, "Don't talk about other dogs around me."
He's like, I'm right here.
um, who is someone you really look up to in the Pokemon community? And this can be TCG, Go, video games, streamers, literally anyone. Anyone you can.
Wow, that's such a great question, and I have so many answers.
Yeah.
I have so many answers. It's hard to pick just one. I guess I'll preface with I've always gravitated towards people that aren't afraid to share their opinion or speak their mind.
Yeah.
So if you're a creator that values authenticity, I'm just naturally I've always naturally gravitated towards people like that.
Yeah.
So some that come to mind are people that I consider friends. Frosted Caribou, she's been incredible in the community and just incredible just in the TCG world of not only being educational, but making really, really well produced and well thought out videos, which I love because not only does that help me stay informed, but it helps the community stay informed.
Yeah.
Um, let me see who else. My friend, I don't know, you might know her. Her name is Sin. I think her current name is only Sin Pie, but she's great too.
Yeah.
She is just an incredible creator and someone that I've been around since 2019, and the Pokemon community even then has changed a lot.
Oh,
3 years ago, if you were a female creator that was showing any sort of like skin or
yeah.
anything like that, which is
Yeah. Big
obviously
time.
very common nowadays, you
Yeah.
were you were persecuted.
Yeah.
And
I
I
reckon.
got
Yeah.
yeah,
It's sad that.
It is, and I'm glad that things have changed for the better. But just watching her as well as other female presenting individuals at that time get so much hate and
Yeah,
negativity and like literal death threats because
it's
they were just trying to exist
yeah,
and be creative. One of the most vivid memories for me from that time is she made this really awesome like set of clothes out of Pokemon card pack art, and
I
it
heard
was like yeah, it was like a tank top and a skirt. It wasn't even
that.
revealing. It's like literally what some people require that girls wear to school. It was like a school
Oh,
uniform.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and she's got so much just backlash for that, and I will never understand other than obviously like now I know it's like okay, that just stems from a place of like misogyny.
Oh yeah, big time massage.
Yeah, so sin, and then just like any creator that's willing to you know put themselves out there. I think Opossum Bud does a great job of sticking up for some of the more marginalized and smaller voices in the community.
Definitely.
um So yeah, those are the three that come to mind for me. I like people that have a solid viewpoint and that aren't afraid to stray away from it, um, because they're worried about losing followers or saving face. That stuff should not be a priority online. And obviously it is for people because they get too concerned with numbers and things like that. For me, I would rather have a thousand real followers of people that know what I'm about and support me in that respect than 100,000 people that are kind of like wishy-washy and ready to jump ship as soon as, you
Yeah.
know, they find something better.
Like I've always been on the smaller creator side of things. Like I only have like 2,900 followers, but like that's the best thing in the world that I have
Yeah,
2,900 people that want to see my stuff.
it's
It could
incredible. That's so
like
many people.
yeah, like it could be 100 and I'd be fine because
Yeah.
as long as I know some people are invested in what I'm doing, I that makes me feel good, you know?
Yeah. And you know what you stand for and you
Yeah,
stick to that. And that's what's
yeah.
important, you
I'm
know?
not gonna change my quota because it doesn't align with somebody's. That's never,
Exactly.
you know.
No, and that's one of the reasons why I knew we kind of vibe talking
Oh
because
yeah,
you have put together like a really awesome program that obviously like we're talking about things that are I don't know, they're not like super deep questions, but we have the ability to get there pretty quickly.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's good. It's nice. I like it.
Me too.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. Let's see. Who inspires you to create, or what inspires you to create?
Ooh, this is such a good question. I was actually just listening to a podcast yesterday, and I'm new to podcasts.
Okay.
I have severe ADHD, so for me to be able to sit there and like listen to a podcast, I also have to be doing something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I was listening to one yesterday that was all about inspiration and how it contributes to joy
Mm,
and where we find inspiration and what it really does to us just from like a mental component. But for me, I would say I find most of my inspiration just like within creative corners. um I don't know if there's necessarily like one entity or like one individual that I think is super super inspiring, but for me the thing that I find just most, I don't know, that really like keeps me going is community. That's the biggest thing that I find inspiring is community. Just obviously that's a very big blanket word and it encompasses a lot of things, but I've gotten messages just over the years of being online and visible. At my account when I started out, I didn't make it to be like, oh, I'm gonna be like a openly gay content creator. Like I literally made my account, never intended to post my face, just to like post my Pokemon Go shinies. That's all it was. And luckily it transformed into something that not only has helped my own insecurities and helped my own confidence, but I've also seen it literally start to build a community of people that might have felt marginalized or not felt at home in a cis hetero dominated space, which
yeah.
the Pokemon community was for a very long time.
Very long time.
Um, a very long time. So that's really my biggest source of inspiration is the people and the community and the messages that I get from people saying, I love your page because you're not afraid to be you. And, part of me has to fight wanting to tell them that, like, I spent so much of my time scared, because
Yeah.
that's the reality of it. And there's some days that I still harbor that fear, but
Yeah.
ultimately, like, being open and being so visible, obviously, while it has qualms, it has done so much for just like my internal self-worth and inspiration and happiness. So it's been really good.
I love
Yeah.
it. Great answer.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. Kind of shifting gears a little bit, but what is your favorite genre of music or favorite music group right now?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love
I'll let
music.
Mochi out real quick.
Yeah, yeah, go for it. Mochi.
Okay. Go out there.
I love music. I have so many different kinds of genres that I listen to.
Yeah.
Um, but if I had to say, like, right now, what have I been super, super into and listening to a lot lately? So I listen to a lot of electronic music.
Okay.
Um, anything from like DJ Flume-esque stuff to more like low key.
Oh.
But the album that I've been enjoying a lot recently is by an artist called Caroline Polachek. Um, so definitely check her out. She's incredible, and she just makes wonderful music that is melodic and electronic and hypnotic.
Oh.
I like that those all rhymed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny, like, it really, I don't know. I get lucky some days and I'll just go out in the world and throw my Apple Music on shuffle, and I'll get everything from, like, good old, like, At the Drive-In and Avenged Sevenfold that I used to listen to in high school
Yeah.
to Allie and AJ.
Yeah.
And I don't skip because I love it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it all.
Music's a crazy thing.
It was my
Yeah.
first, like, one of my first coping mechanisms that I
Oh yeah.
discovered was music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's true for a lot of people that tend to be more sensitive, more emotional people. I was definitely like an emo kid in high school. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say you can probably
But I would
relate.
listen to sad music on the weekends when I wouldn't go out to parties with my friends.
Exactly,
I'm
right?
like, I'd
Sometimes,
rather do this. This is way
yeah.
more fun.
Yeah, and honestly, like, music was, it was coddling us. It was just giving us like
Yeah,
a warm hug in those
yeah.
moments.
And
Yeah,
it's
but no, I've
a language. I could show someone a song in English and they can listen to the beat, and it's like they understand what the song's about. You know,
yeah, no, that's
I love about music.
really well said. Yeah. No, I love music. So no, for me it's all over the place,
Nice.
genre wise. Not
Yeah.
the biggest fan of country, which is funny considering I live in Kentucky, but
Yeah.
you can only sing so many songs about your coolers and your horses and your trucks,
For
like,
sure.
and
I'm
your
a-
ex-wives.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's about it. That's my only beef. And maybe it's because I grew up in the South, maybe that's why I don't like it.
Yeah, maybe. Um, do you have a favorite anime or top three if you don't have a favorite?
Mm. I will say this question is going to get increasingly tougher because they have been putting out some incredible anime recently.
Oh,
Did you watch the cyberpunk one, Cyber Sleuths?
yeah. Wait, Cyber Sleuths or
Wait, what was it called? Did I
Ezra?
get it wrong?
Ezra.
That's what it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible. I've only seen it once. I need to
Oh
do
my
another
God.
watch through, but it
That,
was just
that
phenomenal.
is so good.
Chainsaw Man, they've been killing it.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah.
and I will say, like, I didn't get into anime until maybe about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So I haven't seen a ton of it.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
kind of in the same boat.
yeah, but what I have seen, I've just really enjoyed. And I gotta say, if I had to pick one from the ones that I've watched, it's Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, that's such a goodie. Yeah,
I get emotional even, like, thinking about it,
yeah,
because to go back to, like, that sense of community, like, when people feel alone, that anime is like a visual representation of what isolation does to a person,
oh
Killua,
yeah, for sure.
and it's also a visual representation of the power of friendship and how it can be healing. I have
Mhm.
goosebumps right now talking about this. Just because it's so important, it's so important. Those things that I just said, like, they're so important. um but it's just so well done. It's just so well done and so good.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna lock it in with Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter, I like it.
Hmm.
I like it. Shifting gears back to Pokemon a little bit. What is your most prized Pokemon in your Pokemon Go account?
Ooh. Oh gosh.
Big question.
Okay, no, I do know. So my first ever Shundo, which is a shiny 100% IV,
Okay.
was a Kyogre from a raid back in like 2018.
Oh,
It has since been nicknamed Burple because
purple.
it's pink. Burple, yeah,
Yeah,
Burple.
yeah.
And I'm obsessed with it. To the point where my first so I own two Gold Star shiny Pokemon cards, which
Oh, I'm
even
so
being able to
jealous.
say that is, oh my god,
Crazy.
I say it out loud and I'm like, wait, do I really? Yeah, I do. It's insane. But so the first and one of the two that I bought was a Kyogre Gold Star and a PSA 10 in Japanese in honor of Burple.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and since then the Japanese market has just
Been crazy. It's been
understatement of like I don't even know what's going on over
yeah.
there. I don't
It's
even
been
know what's going on.
insane.
But it makes me happy that I grabbed that card when it was like attainable. I don't want to say affordable because it was still expensive.
Yeah.
And I've even noticed that with the Japanese market and these prices lately, even at myself, like I've become jaded by how high some of these prices are. You know, it's
Yeah.
almost like becoming normalized in my head, and I don't want that to happen.
No, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. 600, 700, $800 for one piece of cardboard.
I could never.
Yeah, I could never either.
And maybe I have once or twice, but that's it.
Shh, we're not gonna talk about that. Yeah, no,
It's crazy that's
and
like
that's
the
the thing
norm
is,
now, you
no,
know?
it is, and to go back to what I was saying a little bit ago, just about how I've been around for a while,
Mhm.
it's the norm now, but it will change,
Oh yeah.
and you know, there's a lot of factors that are contributing to how it is, but I just have watched Pokemon. You know, I got to experience the end of Sun and Moon TCG. I got to experience
Yeah.
all of Sword and Shield,
Yeah.
and now we're back into Scarvi. And you can just tell from a Japanese perspective if you look at PSA Pop reports, which is one of the way that I track
Yeah.
print runs and stuff. They're just printing Scarvi sets even that much more than Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon at the end, when it was gaining popularity again, I feel like the print runs that they were doing were almost like tests for how much they needed to print to serve the current market.
Mm.
And they've just ramped it up since then. Because you know that the Miriam special art rare that everyone was like going crazy about.
Yeah, I just
It's
pulled
like,
it
did you really?
in English. Hold on, let
Oh,
me find.
I get it. Ah, did you
I
really?
know.
Oh my god, that's so good.
That's so funny you mentioned that.
It's a gorgeous card. It is
It's so
so gorgeous. So like I understand the hype, like the art. I don't know. That's why I collect Pokemon cards, is because I love art.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's
And
so good.
yeah.
You got like a well-centered one too, from at least what I
Yeah,
can tell.
really, it's pretty decent.
Yeah. No, I love that card. But again, that was the start of the storm
Yeah,
with
oh yeah,
Japanese
for sure,
cards.
for sure.
And that set in Japan came out, maybe let me just guesstimate, 2.5 months ago.
I think so.
And there's over 1,000 PSA Miriam special art rares already graded. So it's like the math isn't mathing for the amount of cards that exist and the
Yeah,
price that people are paying, you know? So
yeah,
it's obvious to me that it's a manipulated market. So
yeah. That
yeah.
makes
So what I'm focusing on doing, and I even made a couple of story posts about this of like, hey, I hear y'all, like I'm discouraged right now too, because this is when I couldn't even find booster boxes to open. I only got a couple recently to open because I got lotteries and won. So thankful for that. But I was like, I just told people, you know, what I'm doing is I'm going back and I'm looking at X and Y. I'm looking at Sun and Moon, and I'm finding, you know, arts that like make my heart sing, and I'm seeking
yeah,
those out. Because while everyone is focused on this like next best, latest, greatest,
yeah,
um, there's so many beautiful cards that already exist
sure.
that you could
Yeah.
potentially find a good deal on if you're looking in the right places.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Right. Um, What's your favorite shiny encounter in Scarlet and Violet so far?
Ooh, and Scarby. There's been some really, really, really good ones. But one of the most memorable for sure is when I had 3 shinies on screen in the overworld.
Oh,
And
okay.
like I hadn't caught them yet or anything.
Yeah.
We were running a poison sandwich. I split one with a couple of friends of mine, and we were all hunting Toxel because I mean Toxel's a cute ass little baby who doesn't want a shiny Toxel. Um, and I saw one pop up on my screen, and I was like, oh, and then literally right behind it, the next spawn was another shiny Toxel.
Oh my
And
God.
so I was like, hell yes. Because one thing I like to do in Scarby is take pictures in the overworld. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm literally basically playing Pokemon Snap
Yeah.
in Paldea a lot of the time. And so for me, like getting these Toxels, because it's nice when you get a shiny that's non-aggressive, you can take some really awesome pictures.
Yeah.
And so I was just sitting there playing around, doing my Pokemon Snap thing, having a ball with these 2 Toxels. Then all of a sudden I look up over in the left and I'm like, wait, is that? And there's a shiny Go-Go. Just like,
Oh,
or
oh,
a shiny Skidoo. Yeah, just
I think
walking
I
in the
saw that
background.
post you made because you made a
Yep.
post.
Yeah. I made a reel about it because I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't think I'm ever gonna top this.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I got all 3 of them just together and like hanging out, and people have commented on the video of like, you're giving me anxiety by not catching these, and I'm like, yeah, I'm having fun. Okay, like just let
Yeah.
me have fun.
They're gonna
And
despawn.
yeah, that's the thing. And I had to be pretty careful. There was like the way that I even saw the Skidoo is like one of the like I was trying to get the Toxels together so I could take pictures of them,
Yeah.
and one did not want to come. And so I was like running back and forth trying to get him to follow me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, that Go is discolored.
You look different than the rest of them.
Right? And he was just
That's
walking.
you.
Yeah. But so I don't know statistically like what the odds of that would be, but it's got to be something outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a great time. That was super fun.
That's dope.
Yeah. That or my first shiny, which was after 11 hours live streaming on Twitch. I got my first full odds overworld shiny, and that was a shiny Swablu. So that one I'll never forget too.
That in Scarlet Violet, or was that?
Yep.
Oh,
That was
okay.
Scarby. Yeah, that was Scarby. So it was like release date. So this would be November 18th.
Yeah.
And so I'd literally been streaming for almost 12 hours
Oh,
because, on a release day, it's like
yeah.
you don't want to put it down. And I was going
Oh, yeah.
hard during release week.
Yeah.
Like post stream for 12 hours, taking my Switch to bed and raiding until like I pass out at like 5 a.m. Like that's how obsessed I was.
Love
Um, but yeah, just after streaming for so long, I was like, okay, you guys, I think I'm gonna call it soon. And I look over and there's a shiny Swablu, and yeah, so very, very memorable.
Nope. Keep
Yeah.
going.
I was like, nope, we're going. It was so good.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's see. Favorite Pokemon wall art or art piece you own?
That's also a great question because I have so many wonderful ones.
Yeah.
You can kind of sort of see it. I love this Marowak one.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna say any are my favorite just because I love them all so much and they're all so unique. But this one in particular, the Marowak, is really nice because it is a wood, it's like a piece of wood that's like carved and cut out and then painted on.
Oh,
So it's not
okay.
just like a canvas. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, really unique in that respect. But also, let me show you this snubble. My headphones are barely long enough. But this is another current favorite. My friend just embroidered this.
Oh, that
for
is
me.
so cool.
Yeah, and she gave it to me live. I went out to Seattle to see her and some friends do Slowpoke Community Day, and
Oh,
yeah,
dope.
she made me this for the art wall. So
That is so cool.
yeah, I'm just honored. I love to get to display it. So yeah, and then again, like I was saying, I think before we started recording, one of my favorite things about Pokemon art and being able to commission people is not only are you going out there and supporting artists and giving them work, but B, you're getting a completely unique, like one of one art piece.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that to me.
Yeah. And it holds a special place in your heart because like they made it for you.
Exactly. And that's another thing is a lot of my art that I have has been gifts. And
Yeah.
that just makes, when I think about that and I'm reminded, it makes my heart just feel full. It makes me feel full of joy that someone would be willing to gift me their talent. I'm just like, I'm honored, really.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where am I in my list of
Mm,
questions? Who is
art. Go
art?
ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. What's your favorite Pokemon and why? Snubble.
Snubble.
Yeah.
Because it's relatable.
Yeah.
Because I used to have a resting bitch face, even though I'm very sweet. No, I don't know. I just love Snubbull. It's one of those Pokemon that has always been misunderstood, in my opinion, because it does have that grumpy little face.
For sure.
Um, but it's just a big sweetie. It's a
Yeah.
big sweetie pie. And I don't know if that's why I love Snubbull so much. I love dogs. I love dog Pokemon. That's part of it too. And it's been around for a long time, being from Johto. But there's just a lot of reasons I love Snubbull. My first Pokemon plush, like coming back into Pokemon plush collecting, was this Snubbull right there
Okay.
from Build-A-Bear. I made that on Torchic Community Day back in 2019 because we
Oh
were out
wow.
playing at the mall. Yep. And so
Nice.
it's like it has memories for me. I remember who I was with. I remember what we were doing. But yeah, my top penultimate favorite Pokemon is Snubbull.
Dope.
Yeah, I love Snubbull.
Um, Kind of related question. In your opinion, which Pokemon do you think you resemble the most?
Ooh. Huh. Well, it would have to be somebody with a mustache, right? Maybe like a wish cash.
Personality?
Maybe like a wish cash.
A Which Cash?
a Mr. Rhyme. I don't know. Let me think about this one. Personality. That's another thing we could factor into. That's hard. I guess I kind of resemble a Snubbull, but not as much anymore. I've worked on the rest. I've worked on the RBF. So whenever I'm like team building, I gravitate towards dark type Pokemon. I consider myself like a dark type trainer. And so I really like the Sneasel line as well as the Hisuian version.
Oh,
So I think I'm gonna say Hisui, like I think I'm gonna say Sneasler from Hisui. The tall, lanky,
yeah.
big clawed, mustached in this instance, Pokemon.
Dope.
Yeah.
Um, Coming down the last couple of questions, and then I'll open the floor for you to ask me some questions.
Right on.
Yeah. What's your favorite Pokemon plush that you own, or favorite plush you absolutely need to own that you don't own?
Mm. So I definitely struggle with not buying things. Well, okay, hang on, let me rephrase that. I struggle with wanting to buy things and not doing it because I know that I don't have the space for it. Like these
Yeah,
two,
for sure.
I shouldn't have bought them, and I know that I shouldn't have bought them because they're humongous, but they're amazing. Like, so I'm running out of space, but I would say if I had, so I'll choose from what I already have because there's definitely things that I don't need more of,
Okay.
but I would say either this Jiggly, which isn't even a Pokemon Center official one, but she's just spends a lot of time with me. She's my like streaming Jiggly. She's super squishy and like
Yeah.
perfect for just resting your hands while you like hold a controller on. So
Okay.
obsessed with her. She's
Yeah.
great. Between that and then my collection of like the sleeping evolutions, those are top for me. I know that's like I'm essentially picking like 7 or 8 because I'm saying evolutions, but still
Okay.
we can count it, right?
Yeah, we can
Okay,
count it.
good.
We'll put it on
Because
the
those
list.
for me, when they were all on the Pokemon Center when I got back into collecting. So I
Yeah.
ordered a couple. They were $40 at the time, but like resale value on those things is crazy.
Oh my
It's
god.
crazy.
Resale value on anything that's labeled Pokemon
Yes,
is insane these days.
yes, yes. So I'm very grateful that I was able to go on the Pokemon Center like in 2019, in 2020, and like order things that I wanted and not have to like fight people. because nowadays that's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But there was a couple years where I didn't have the sleeping Glaceon, and I was just waiting for it to get restocked, waiting for it to get restocked. They restocked Flareon and Jolteon,
Oh,
which was great, but never Glaceon. So I had to buy it
is that a
on.
life-size kit or is it a sleeping mud kit?
It's a life-size sleeping mud kit. It's
Oh,
both.
it's so dope.
I'll get it out for you.
Okay.
I'll get it out for you. There's been a couple of people that have asked about it recently. So it's from like the same line. And actually, here's my Glaceon.
Oh, adorable.
But this one I actually got really lucky. Ah! You guys gonna stay? We'll leave them there like that. Because someone I was dating at the time actually bought it for me for Valentine's Day. And we don't date anymore. So it's like this is a good thing to take away from that.
Yes, for sure.
But yeah, it's just a tiny little sleeping
So,
Mudkip. But yes, I'm
I love
obsessed with it. I love Mudkip too. Such a good boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like flat because it's been I don't does it look flat to you? Maybe a little flat.
A little, but not too bad.
Maybe I know we need to fluff him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, such a good one. But yeah, it's from like kind of that same era. I think from the same line as the sleevies, as I call them, the sleeping Eevees.
Yeah.
But this one too, I never saw. I never even saw this one stocked on the Pokemon Center. It was made in
I didn't know that even
2016.
existed. I thought they just made the sleeping evolution.
Yeah, it was. This one came out. It's copyright in 2016, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, no, he. I was just dating this guy at the time, and it was Valentine's Day, and I was like, kind of like hinting at like, here's what I'm thinking about getting you. Like, what are you thinking of getting me? And he gave me a really generic response, and I was like, that's not gonna work. I was like, look around this room, and then
Yeah.
go buy something.
Figure it out.
And this is what he came up with off eBay, so I'm happy
That's
with that.
good.
Right?
Good.
I was like, can you use some context clues here? Like,
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
bad, but
Oh. The last question I have for you, my friend,
let's go.
is what is your favorite card in your collection?
Oh my god.
This is always the hardest question for everyone. So don't,
Okay, good. I'm not alone.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have so many cards that have like serious sentimental value associated with them, you know? Like even like the
Dragonite.
Kyogre,
Yeah.
the Dragonite.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to pick. Because even think about like some of those like recent VMAX evolutions, those have such like
Yeah.
they've gone so viral, honestly. It's the best way to put it.
Yeah, seriously.
Viral evolutions. But honestly, I think if I was gonna pick one, it would be the Dragonite, just because of the sentimentality that I've associated with it. I think the art is absolutely gorgeous. I love the rainbow. You know, I love even the fossil symbol. There's not a single thing I don't like about it.
Yeah.
And the Japanese version, at least the one that I have, has a little bit of hollow bleed as well. So there's like hollow on, yeah. So I can't remember if that was like intentional for all cards at the time. My brain was too baby, but and I don't open vintage like some people these days.
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus on modern, but they're almost the same price now.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy.
Ooh.
Boo. But again, like I said earlier when we were talking, is I've seen a lot of upticks and I've seen a lot of downturns. There was a period of time where I was working with a distributor to sell stuff at MSRP, and the only way that people were able to access it and the way that I could prevent bots from getting it, and this was for Champions Path, if you remember Champions Path, it was like the Zard VMAX.
Yeah.
It was a horrible set. Like there was only 2 cards in it that are worth anything.
Yeah.
But I had to make like, what did I use? I think I used a Patreon where like people had to pay like $1 just to be a member, just to have access to the site, because that's how thoroughly you had to screen people. Yeah, it was crazy. And now something similar is kind of happening in the Japanese world where, at the beginning, especially with Scarlet and Violet, it was this whole FOMO market of you don't want to miss out, blah, blah, blah. But again, I've seen upticks, I've seen downturns, and right now we're just kind of in a weird position of getting back to an equilibrium.
Yeah, for sure.
We're
I'm
working on it.
same right now.
Yeah, and there's part of it is the fact that like a lot of these content creators, they don't do the due diligence of educating themselves, and then they
For
either
sure.
spread
Yeah.
misinformation or don't educate their audience in any way
Yeah.
other than
I
this
agree.
is what I'm doing, this is what I'm opening. Like
Yeah.
if I was going to be creating that kind of content, I would be like, okay, this is the Japanese predecessor to what's coming in English. Like this is like a lot of people don't even know that if you buy a Japanese booster box, you're only guaranteed one hit. You know,
Yeah.
they think they're going to get like an English booster box, and
Or you can get
you
like
know that's another thing that really just grinds my gears is if you're going to flex or do this or do whatever, at least just be like or be a box breaker. That's another thing that grinds my gears. If you're going to be a box breaker in this day and age, have some transparency with your customers about what you're opening for them, what they're paying for,
sure.
and then let them make the decision if they still want to spend $180 on one guaranteed hit. That's probably going to be a Spydop CX full art.
So are you not a fan of the Spidops EX full art?
It's not even just about that. I love the special art rare, but it's like, okay, this is like your one hit is
Yeah.
probably just going to be a full art, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
True.
And that's okay. Like I love cards like that. Um, but if you aren't operating with like that transparency, then to me, you're just like scamming people
Yeah, for sure. I totally.
to not sugarcoat it.
Yeah. Oh, that for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I love Pokemon, and like I said earlier, I love the community. I love the sub community that I've been able to build. Discord has been something that I've been utilizing recently that's newer for us, but it's also been great in regards to the whole community building of being able to stay in touch with people and really hear people. Like there's people that have questions and they're valid questions like some of the stuff that you and I even just talked about of where
Yeah.
can I buy this stuff, what is it worth, am I overpaying, having a safe space to ask that stuff where you won't be ridiculed
Yeah.
is
True.
super helpful.
I've been part of some discords where they're pretty brutal if you don't know your stuff.
Yeah,
I'm asking an honest question. You don't have to rip me apart.
no, exactly, especially when you can tell it's like they're not trying to like be dramatic, it's like
Yeah.
just an innocent question.
Yeah. I'm just
So
trying to figure out some shit.
yeah, no, and that's I think one thing I do love about like your vibe and your energy is it's about like celebrating differences. It's about celebrating the fact that like we all have our own unique approach to like what we love in Pokemon and what we do here. And while we're different, ultimately, like we shouldn't let that separate us.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why I started doing this, so I could just hear the vast opinions of other people and their love for Pokemon and how they came to love the game or the TCG or Pokemon Go. And I don't know. I just feel like doing these even for myself is educating myself because I get
Yeah.
so many different viewpoints from so many different people. So it's pretty cool.
No, 100%. I think stuff like this is important and
Oh
it's
yeah.
really great work and it's real, which ultimately that's kind of what we've been talking about is
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
with content creation and just people being so online, there is obviously going to be a lack of authenticity from people and creators at times.
Yeah.
And anywhere that you can find that authenticity and really dive into it and celebrate it is good and it should be explored. So
Well,
yeah.
that was all the questions I had for you, my friend. Do you have any questions for me?
Isn't the sleeping mudkip adorable?
Oh, it's adorbs.
I do have maybe not like a question, but I wanted to ask, do you work in education?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I thought you did.
Yeah.
Are you a teacher or
So I got my bachelor's degree in health and PE.
okay?
Then I was recently a teacher for one of the local middle schools here where I live. And then I resigned from that position. It just wasn't the right fit for me.
Yeah, I totally get it.
So now I'm just a sub for the school district that I was working for previously. And now I just sort of go to all the schools. And it's really it's really cool being a sub because it helps me to find like what age group I want to work with the most, if that makes sense.
No, that was kind of my next question is
Yeah, because I sort
what
of jumped into I was
middle
teaching middle
school.
school,
Yeah.
and then I
Middle
did.
schoolers are jerks.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. Like, are you kidding me? I'd probably rather work with high schoolers.
I don't see. That's I
It's hard.
originally because I coached at one of my local high schools for several years, and I forever thought I wanted to work with high school, and then
Mhm.
I and then I jumped into middle school, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to work with middle school. And then now that I'm subbing more often, and like I'm seeing different environments and different
Mhm.
dynamics of workplaces and different schools dynamics and culture, um, I really enjoy elementary PE
That's awesome.
because those kids just love to play the games and
Yeah,
they
for real.
won't question it. Like
Nope.
in middle school, I feel like they sort of get like, I don't want to play this game. And then high school, they're like, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
lay back and text my friends. And
Yeah. And
um
they're like, I don't care if you give me a
yeah,
warning or whatever. Like, I already
yeah,
have detention this weekend.
exactly. But like the littler ones are such a hoot to work with because they're so excited.
Yeah, and they're so excited and they're also so impressionable at that time that you can really
Sure.
make the biggest difference by
Yeah,
just being
exactly.
a solid figure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I love that. And the reason I asked is I think that like with everything that's going on in the world, well, no, not in the world, but I'll say with everything that's going on in our country, I think that, you know, from just like an education standpoint and a schooling standpoint, I think like what we talked about with community, but also just like having that empathy and then that ability to just like be understanding of things and people that are different than you. I think a lot of that is really fostered in school
Oh,
and within educators and a lot of the messages
and your
that
kids
kids
are there
receive
for
at
eight
school.
hours a day. You said
Yeah,
your kids are there for 8 hours a day. Your teachers see your kids
sometimes more than you. Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like
Wow.
there's a lot of gripes and a lot of positives and a lot of negatives to the education system. I won't,
Yep.
but I think just one of the positives, at least for me, is that I get to be involved in these kids' lives.
Yeah.
'Cause I've always been a helper. I've always been a people pleaser. Not in the sense where like I look to people for approval, but I try to if there's a situation that I can at least aid in, I'll try my best to.
Yeah, you want to.
Yeah. So I went off on a tangent. But just like helping students reach the best version of themselves, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. Um,
Yeah.
I really value that because I feel like a lot of educators, at least back in my day, when I was going through school, I can only pick out like 3 or 4 teachers that actually I know actually cared about me as a student. You know?
Yeah, same. And I remember their names
Yeah,
because
exactly.
of you can just tell. I mean,
Yeah,
you can just tell.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's great to know that like you're in a position where now you get to have that positive affect and like that positive, impression
yeah.
um on people and on kids. I think like I said, it's we need more people like you that are out there and accepting. And like you said, it's not just about I'm a PE teacher, so I have to help them physically. Like, no, like
No,
if
not
it's so much more than that. And as a teacher, like,
teach health sometimes,
yeah,
and part of our curriculum, at least the curriculum I was teaching out of before I became a sub, is like mental health, good fostering good relationships, how to be a clear communicator, and just basic stuff like that. And
that's awesome.
some of my best lessons come from like that realm of things because I'm super passionate about mental health. Um, I actually almost got a dual degree in psych and physical health and education. I was
I mean, it would be a great dual
close.
degree.
I was like, oh, it's so much work.
You're like, do I stay for another semester or do I just
Yeah, exactly. And I
graduate?
was like, I want to graduate.
Yeah, trust me, I get it. I get
Yeah.
it. I get it.
Yeah.
But no, it's awesome, and it's really important, and I think once you find your niche, you'll know, and you'll just lean into it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it'll be good. Well, awesome, man. Thanks so much for having me on. This has
Yeah,
been
of course.
such a pleasure.
It's
Such a
awesome.
pleasure, seriously.
Yeah.
If you ever, want to have me back on in the future, I definitely would be down.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'll
You're
have to come
always
up with a new list of 21 questions, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, awesome. Thanks so much, Darian.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a great one.
You too.